people who are here to cover SHRM Tech 9th anniversary, I would say. But bigger than that this is our 75th year anniversary we celebrate. SHRM has been in existence for 75 years. And the best thing is, it is not just, when we celebrate our 75th year of independence. And I'm a proud SHRMite and I'm a proud Indian, which is what I said in my opening address. What is a pride moment for being an Indian? That we are 5th largest economy, and we are going to beat Germany with 3.7 trillion of GDP. We have beaten England already, and we're going to beat Germany, and we would be the 4th largest economy soon. That is my proud Indian speaking. But from the SHRM perspective, I would say we are and we have maintained throughout for 75 years a true thought leader space in the area of work, worker, workplace. We influence the governments, we influence the academia, we influence the organizations. We, for 75 years, have been giving the right content, which is research-backed, to make people managers more productive, more efficient in their workplaces. The tech conference for which you have come today, I'm proudly saying 4,000 people are attending this tech, 4,000 plus people. Exact number I don't know, but I know I had the count. It was 2,416 people registered physically who would be here, and around 1,800 online people who had registered. And this was the stat last night at around 9 p.m., which I'm sharing with you. This conference has been rated by Forbes as the 2nd best conference globally. It is not, so this is our contribution to India as a country. When we talk about India as a startup nation, from SHRM Labs, the managing director of startup is here to evaluate the startups in technology, in HR, and they are showcasing at the Expo area. And some of the startups which will be selected, they would be exhibiting and be selected and be awarded at our SHRM US annual conference, which starts in Vegas from 11th to 13th of June. So this is the whole SHRM, and SHRM is a membership organization with 325,000 members. We influence 325 million families globally. That is the power of SHRM in 165 countries. So I would be more than happy to answer some questions. My friend, who is also happens to be our client, it is always good to hear from the client how they feel about SHRM, and that is where I will stop. Of course, I would also like to mention one more thing specifically to India. When Prime Minister Modi started Mission Karam Yogi, a special purpose vehicle to train the bureaucrats of India, we contributed to the content, whether it was HR or content. My boss, Johnny C. Taylor, himself contributed to it. We are co-chair for B20 nations, skilling and mobility. We are working on it, and we are pushing for standardization for the skills for B20 nations, and work carries on. We are also part of ILO or WFPMA, which is World Federation of People Management. So every area, anything to do with work, worker, workplace, we try to influence across the globe how we can make better workplaces for better tomorrow. So over to you, sir, if you have anything to say.
Thanks to Achal, and it is indeed a matter of great pride and privilege that I have been invited here to participate in the 9th anniversary event of the SHRM conference. And we are delighted to be here and participate and collaborate in every possible manner. I represent Maruti Suzuki India Limited, which is the largest manufacturing automobile company in the country. As she mentioned, we are growing and we are growing at a pace. Just to give you a simple stats that in terms of automobile manufacturing, we are now the third largest nation. We have just beaten Germany and finally taken over even from Japan. So after US,
I'm so happy. I'm a
and
proud
we are
Indian.
the third largest country, and very soon we are trying to do even better. As an organization, we clocked 1 lakh crore of turnover this year in the last financial year, with nearly 20 lakh of vehicles getting produced. And the progress and the roadmap till 2030 is very clear. Talking about HR in particular, that we are now evolving. We have seen a phase as an organization. We were here in the country for last 40 years. We celebrated the 40 years of collaboration between MSIL and Suzuki Motor Corporation, along with the 75th celebration, 75th years of independence. And that the legacy carries on. We are in a transition, and specifically in terms of HR, it now at a stage where we are trying to design everything as per the new age concept and model. New people practices being focused more in terms of flexibility, adaptability, and that is how we are looking at it. The interventions are being planned, keeping in mind both the manufacturing as well as the non-manufacturing aspect of the business. So we look forward to this event and we look forward to a better collaboration. Thank you so much.
This is Vaishali Gambhir. I am part of Knowledge and Advisory Team, SHRM. Today we have with us our esteemed guest, Mr. Vincent Kelly, Head Learning and Development, Boston Scientific. Today he will be sharing the key insights on how talent management practices and strategy at Boston Scientific are helping them achieve the vision and the business strategy, the goals for the company. Vincent, over to you.
Okay, so I've been in the L&D business for last 20 years, and a major part of my career, which is for last 7 years, had been with Boston Scientific. In Boston Scientific, learning and development is hardcore value. It's just not a checkbox tick item. And having been said that, we work with premier partners who are grounded into serious business of developing people, who have products which are research based, have a high credibility, have a high coefficient of validity and reliability. So we struck a deal with SHRM, and I'm very happy and glad that being a learning person, SHRM has done a fabulous job for last 3 years at Boston Scientific. This is my second conference here in Hyderabad, and I've enjoyed each and every bit of it. I strongly recommend SHRM as a learning partner to all those organizations who take learning as a serious business. So I think I'll give you some couple of perspective, on this. We were the first site in Boston Scientific across 40 countries to land in program which was for women empowerment, which is called We Lead. And this We Lead program was specifically designed to get women into higher strategic leadership positions. I feel very proud that SHRM was a preferred partner to run that program. And we did a successful cohort which was branded across the Boston Scientific world, from the US to India, that the kind of quality that cohort came in with Boston Scientific collaboration. They got the best speakers, they got the best learning tools, they got the best interaction, and we are now getting up for the second cohort this year, same on women empowerment. So what I'm trying to say is here, if you do not like to get into, because of the internet has been flooded with so many learning tools, which are not proprietary, which are not known, which are just cut, copy, pasted. If you want to get away from this approach, get into SHRM and be guided for your learning departments. So I hand it over to you for a couple of questions in case if you have, and I'll be more than happy to answer that.
Sure. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you so much. And, having been associated with Boston Scientific since last 3 years, and we can vouch for that, we have seen very few clients who are actually committed to the cause. So we see many clients working as they have the agenda from the top, they have the agenda from the board, and what they're doing is the checkbox exercise. The involvement, the commitment, the passion that Boston Scientific team showed in developing their women leaders was outstanding, and that was also the key for us to achieve success with the program with outcomes. So Vincent, talking about the We Lead as the Women Empowerment Program, so would you want to talk about some of the outcomes and how now you are taking it back in the organization, how the women are taking it back in the organization, and do you see some change there in the behaviors, in the leadership behaviors that they demonstrate?
So Boston Scientific is in a medical device industry. It's a niche player. And let me also, before I answer this question, let me give you the role of this program and why it's important. A medical device industry has rare seen women taking strategic positions as vis-a-vis the pharmaceutical industry. And we had this space of getting up women for taking up higher roles, strategic positions, and to do well for their careers. Now, when this program has come to an end and what she asked that how it's going to be the outcome driven, these women are going to be superseding in their careers and they will be given complex goals. And not only complex goals, they will be given a very diversified tangent in their career aspirations. About 6 months to 8 months back, there was a skill set which they hold, and post 6 months to 8 months back, once we had the program with SHRM, the skill repertoire has expanded, has refined. Now, if you want to grow up women into higher strategic roles, you just can't do it overnight. What happens if you give a responsibility and it's not done properly? On the contrary, the person also loses confidence. How do you enhance the skill repertoire? It's just not with one training intervention or one coaching principle. It has to have a divergent absorption of learning from across different tangents. And there where this program came in, and the first outcome is the people who went through this program, which were all about 18 women at Boston Scientific, were chosen after a great, talent search among the company. And once they were put onto it, now when I see them, they are going to pick up very challenging roles, challenging for their careers. And now they're equipped with skills after this program. And more than that, there will be a lot of personal growth. Now, how would you grow a person in your career? Just not by giving certifications. The 70% of actual learning outcomes come on the job. It's just 20 to 30% that comes from instruction-led mechanisms in the classroom. 20% maybe from another coaching experiences, but 70% happens on the job. And this program is directly linked to its job application, where SHRM has done their best. And the second most important outcome is that these women would handle independent leadership responsibilities across the globe, not only in India. And the third most important outcome would be, and this is the final one, now the women who are there to come in for the next cohort see them as their role idols. Now, this has become a brand in Boston Scientific. We Lead has become a brand in Boston Scientific, which is power backed by SHRM. And because it's a brand, we want people to come and aspire for it, qualify for it, and make a space to get into the next cohort. So the outcome is completely, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Vaishali.
Outcome is completely Vaishali is application driven,
yeah.
And people see changes in their career. That's what we committed, and that's what we committed to SHRM, that we continue this journey cohort after cohort.
Definitely. Thank you, Vincent. So that brings to me, there are a lot of, buzz in the media about, the skills for the future. There's a huge skill gap that the media is talking about, the market is talking about. In your perspective, for Boston Scientific to achieve their goals, what do you think are some of the key niche skills that you're looking at in building your employees?
Okay, that's a very good question, and I'm glad it came through. Boston Scientific focuses always on future skills. Now, there is a kind of a conventional mindset that programs and interventions which you did about last year or maybe a couple of years back, or what you've been doing, something like a communication skills or an interpersonal skills, would also help you going. The business has changed, and so forth. The skills required are also changed. And if you do not change the interventions that you have, you would not sort the right kind of an experience and the outcome from any learning and development department. We focus on future skills. And when we focus on future skills, we are also committed to get the best partners. We are also running a program which is called Fast Future First, which is directly done from the US, from one of the companies, which is very strong in it. But we are very focused on the future skills. Every year we upgrade the skills and we upgrade the relevant interventions to it. And even in the next cohort of we lead, though the agenda remains the same, but the skills will have a different flavor of it. Because even in the last 1 year, the responsibilities what women will handle has changing, not drastically, but there is a needle improvement in terms of change. Why? The technology is changing every year. And we are a med device company completely backed by technology. And if somebody's in any business today says that we have nothing to do with technology, it's very difficult to believe. Even if it's a cement factory, it doesn't matter. So as the technology changes, the skills changes. And with that skills, a lot of things changes because we are now focusing on a hybrid mode of working. And in this hybrid mode of managing people across the globe, all the people managers have gone through a different league of change. It's not the conventional where you find people working just beneath your nose, and hybrid mode is completely different, but the challenges are different. So our next upcoming programs are future tech based. They are based what people managers faces today vis-a-vis what they were facing prior to COVID. So the focus is completely in future skills, more into technology, more into dynamic, more into VUCA leadership, and more than that, keeping pace with time and context. And women still happens to be our prime agenda to grow them into strategic roles. So we are a future-oriented company when it comes to learning and development. We are not stagnated to a conventional approaches.
So basically, if you see, there are 95 lakh students who pass out every year in UG and PG combined. There are 4 crore 14 lakh students who are currently studying in any UG and PG program across years, right? More importantly, I think the main surprising factor was out of 4 crores, 2 crores were girls, which is 50%. And then out of those who are passing out, which is about 75 lakhs UG, there are close to 52% who are girls, right? Now, if I were to ask you a question as an HR, how many students can you reach out to, right? The answer would be less than 1,000, less than 10,000 yourself, right? But that is only 0.0001% of the overall market that exists. Even if I say that only 10% of them are employable, you are still only to reach out to 0.001%. And that's I'm not saying it is a competitive market. It is basically that you don't know the resources to reach out to as many people as possible. And that's where my session basically talked about how do we ensure that using platforms like Unstock, you are able to reach out to the students of Bharat, irrespective of their background, irrespective of their cities, whether they are in city tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, whether they are in an IIM, IIT or a tier 3, tier 4 college. We are here to democratize hiring so that you hire the best rather than from the best institutes. And that's what we are looking at. I think it's more to do with the generation itself. They want instant gratification and instant career trajectory and path, which I'm sure not all the companies are able to provide. However, the layoffs is a internal thing of the company. They may have projected higher numbers which they are not able to meet, and that's why they are looking at laying off. So they have created a new project which didn't work, and then they basically fired overall the team. But I think companies need to be prudent. The candidates or the employees also need to be prudent so that they can actually upskill themselves as and when required. See, we say right talent only because there are 95 lakh students who pass out. There are 50,000 more companies who are looking at hiring people, right? Now the thing is that not every company wants 99 percentiler, and not all 99 percentiler is looking at joining any company, right? We have to do a mix or match. There are companies who only want the top performers. There are companies who want above average performers, and there are companies who want average performers because they want some tasks to be done which can be done by a person who doesn't have too many aspirations, because you also need to match their aspirations as well, just to ensure that they don't leave you.
Advent as operating partner, Advent Private Equity.
You just have to do a Google on him. He's everywhere. My name is Ashish. I work for SHRM. I'll be handing my business card to you. Thank you so much, Pushiv, for being at the SHRM Tech conference. It's been a wonderful experience having you here. The keynote has been received so well. People are overwhelming responses for the positive notes that you talked about, and it's an insight into the world of work, worker, and workplace. I would want to know from you, how do you think this SHRM Tech has been different from all the other conferences that you've seen?
Yeah, I think SHRM is very, very tight. You have a lot of CHROs who are there, both at level 1 and the level below that. You had close to 900 people in the hall, and you had close to 800 people online, total of 1700. But more important, you had a lot of exhibitors who are all tech companies who are designing apps, designing software to actually help HR people do a better job in their companies. So in that sense, you've got the whole ecosystem together. Very rarely in any other format do you get, if you had a CEO conference, you will not get the ecosystem partners coming in pitching their, or showing their apps or showing their software. So I think in that sense, you're very, very tight, very focused, and a great job. Well done.
Thank you so much for those kind words. The other thing that we always keep on asking ourselves is, how do we make this conference, or how do we make this knowledge, kumbh as we call it, better, and make it, even take it, onto the next level? Because I think we owe, to the world about how do we merge HR and technology. What could be some, insights that you would provide us on that?
Yeah, I would say number one, don't bring people who have done things and run things from the past. That's absolutely no use. Bring people who have a point of view of the future, people who can give you a hypothesis of the future, because the past will not repeat itself. It's almost certain. So you need people who have the horsepower to imagine the future, who are insightful, and who extrapolate from data points collected over various different points and say, this is possibly a likely future. Okay, so that's the kind of person that you need to bring in to do that. And above all, try and bring practitioners always. Whether it's professors, whether it is what I would call armchair critics, etc. They don't add value to you, because everybody in the audience is trying something on HR. What they want to know is somebody able to connect the dots and take it forward?
That's so fantastic, and I love the word that you said, potential, and how do you draw implications from the kind of data points. And I think that's a wonderful point for us to keep in mind as we go further. The conference has been talking a lot about tech, and everybody's been talking there's over too much of tech. How do you balance between the two? What would you say about that?
I would say technology is here to stay. I think there is no doubt about it. You will only see the acceleration of technology. You'll see more technology and not less technology. In my keynote, I talked about, let's look at what technology has done in some areas. What has technology done in the armed forces? What has technology done in the enforcement area, like police? What has technology done to pilots? And what has technology done to cricket umpires? If you look at that, technology has actually made war far more dramatic. The losses are far higher. But equally, a Goliath versus David is possible thanks to technology, which is what is happening in the current war right now. If you look at, for example, policemen. In the police area or enforcement area, we are now getting much more into reform as opposed to punishment. Technology has helped us do that. So technology is much more preventive as opposed to, being punitive. Technology is predictive also. If you look at pilots, in aircraft, 80% of the accidents happen over 11 minutes. The first 3 minutes of takeoff and the last 8 minutes of landing. Now, technology is so advanced in aircraft today that pilots rely more on the technology and not on their skills. That is one place I personally believe that technology has pushed down the skills. The skills to fly in turbulent times is something that they need to think of. If you look at cricket, and if you are following IPL T20, look at all the referrals made to the third umpire. 95% of the decisions which the umpires are making are correct. That tells you that the umpires have embraced technology and have said, I'm going to be so sharp and so good, and my decisions are going to be validated by technology. I think that's the kind of model that HR needs to think about.
Thank you. You talked about the uses of technology and how it can be beneficial across sectors. Now at the SHRM Tech, we talk a lot about people managers. Any one advice in this world of technology that you would want to provide to people managers?
Yeah.
Particularly when they're taking on newer generations. A lot of people have been talking about at SHRM Tech that it's very difficult to manage the new generation, and with technology they know everything. What's your take on that?
Around 2005-06, when I was in Nokia and digital was just coming in 2005, India had only 80 million subscribers. Today we have more than 1 billion. Everybody used to talk about a phrase coined more by the media and some by some CEOs. Everybody would talk about the digital divide. And I remember saying it then, and I'll repeat it today. Digital is not a divider. Digital is a unifier. That applies for leaders. Today, if you want to be in touch with your employees, there are 1,000 ways you can engage with your employees. So don't look at digital as something which is a divider between you and your team or the employees. Look at it as a unifier. Okay? So use technology to unify your team. Use technology to be far more inclusive than you have ever been before. Because what people truly look for in a tech-enabled environment is inclusion.
Now that's some insight that most people would agree upon. One last, for the day. The last couple of years, HR has significantly, gained a lot of kind of attraction within organizations where people now, CEOs now, believe that they won't do without HR. Particularly the times that we went through in a pandemic, HR was one that saved the organizations. What does HR need to do to embrace technology, and how is technology not going to become a barrier in the human kind of relationships that HR should have?
Yeah. The first thing is, technology should not create a barrier between HR and the employees. It should not be seen that HR has become more distant. For example, if you look at voice, people go to voice, people get prompts in the Western world through voice and through IVR, etc., which is absolutely fine. In India, people don't like that. People still want face-to-face in India. So if somebody is stuck with a problem, they still want to go to an HR person who can talk to them. So HR in that sense is like a sounding board. HR in that sense is like a mirror. You show the mirror to the person, but you're also a sounding board. You need to do both roles together. The more you rely on technology, the more important soft skills will become in your organization. As I mentioned in the keynote speech, I said super soft skills. The ability to listen, the ability to communicate, the ability to empathize. All these will become super soft skills in the future world. So by all means, go down the technology path, but by all means, enhance the soft skills in your organization.
Thank you so much, Shiv, for being at the SHRM Tech conference and for taking out time to talking to us. Thanks a ton.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you very much. All the very best.